It's been about 3 days since this brand new Safari Harvest update came out, and people have not been happy with this update. I mean, I've been reading my own comments and people keep on complaining, saying that this update feels like a full-time job, and others are straight up just quitting Grow a Garden, and a lot of people have already quit because of this update. But the devs actually tried to fix this, and in today's video, we're going to be going over every single one of those fixes, and we're going to be talking about if these fixes are enough, if Grow a Garden is actually going to make a comeback. But anyways, let's go ahead and hop straight into this video. So as I mentioned before, the Mega Safari Harvest update was released about 3 days ago, and if you guys watched my last video on this update, you know that this update was a complete disaster. I mean, they made it super difficult to get anything out of this. It felt like the Reaper event all over again, and honestly, it felt like they didn't learn the lesson from the Reaper event and just decided to make the event like the same thing all over again. It pissed a lot of people off, and a lot of people were upset about this. But again, as I mentioned before, Grow a Garden devs actually released a fix for this. In fact, they released 2 fixes for this update, so we're going to be going over both of those. The first fix wasn't really well received, and the second fix, well, you'll have to watch to find out if it is actually good. Oh, and by the way, hit that like and subscribe button if you guys find Grow a Garden videos helpful. Anyways, let's hop straight into this. So here we are in the official Grow a Garden Discord server, and as you guys can see, on the 9th of November, which was about 2 days ago, so it's been a while, DJI went ahead and fixed the game. Well, at least that's what we think, but let's go ahead and read all of these. So first one was fix some bugs related to the Safari tour weather, which is completely unrelated to all the issues we're having. They also made it easier to get higher tier rewards from Safari Joe, which I don't think did much. Reduced the garden coin prices for the new pet inventory slots in the Ascension shop, so this was honestly a good change. I really like that, and that's about it. That's all we got. So yeah, now you can probably see why people weren't really happy with that, because there is still some major issues in the game even after those hotfixes. For starters, of course, the amount of points you need to actually go ahead and complete the Safari Harvest event. 300 billion is the threshold that we had to go ahead and meet in order to unlock everything in this update. And you got things like the lion pet at 290, meaning even if we hit 300 billion points by the end of the week, we will still not be able to get the lion pet. Once again, I went ahead and talked about each and every one of these things in my previous videos. So if you guys want to go ahead and watch that, do watch that before you keep on watching this video, because it's going to give you guys a lot of context. If you don't care, it's fine. Let's just continue moving on. But as I mentioned before, the amount of community points we needed to actually go ahead and unlock everything inside of this update was just unrealistic. Also, of course, Safari Joe right over here, which spawns right there, was also just completely impossible to complete. But thankfully, we got a second fix today, actually. So as you guys can see, here is the second fix. This is going to be update 1.3.1.2. After some of your feedback, we have decided to reduce the amount needed for the new community milestone goals. So finally, this has been fixed. Apparently, we're going to go ahead and check it out. Fix a bug where electrons are not visible. Whatever, this is not really part of the fixes. Fix a bug where the cosmetic shop was not loading properly. Also not part of this. Enable seed plot animation on various plants. Once again, not really a part of this. So realistically, the only fixes we got regarding this update and the things that we have been complaining about is going to be this one right here, where they reduce the amount of community points needed. This right here, which is to reduce the amount of coins needed to ascend, which by the way, I have a issue with this one right here, so we're going to come back to that in a second. And of course, they went ahead and made Safari Joe a whole lot easier. We're going to go ahead and check out that. But first things first, let's go ahead and talk about this point right here. Now, yes, it is good that they went ahead and reduced the amount of points you need to go ahead and get yourself extra pet slots. But here's my issue with this. A bunch of people already use their coins, their garden coins, to go ahead and unlock this shop. So I'm not sure if these people were refunded. If they were refunded, good. If not, then see, this is the issue I'm talking about. But yeah, as of now, to go ahead and upgrade your inventory, I believe it is now just 40 coins. Please correct me if I'm wrong, as I have not unlocked this new pet inventory capacity plus thing. But yeah, do tell me in the comments down below if they had actually fixed the Ascension shop and all of the issues there, and if you did get refunded, please let me know in the comments down below. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to some of the more important things about this update, starting off with, of course, Safari Joe. So if you guys did not know, Safari Joe was just horrible, right? It was completely impossible to go ahead and complete this guy. A lot of people thought that this was some sort of bank where you had to go ahead and give your pets and you'd get your pets back, but no, you literally just lost all of your pets if you went ahead and gave it to him. So previously, even if I gave him a headless horseman, I would only get about 100 points, which was not enough to even even unlock the highest tier of reward, a headless horseman, guys, which is insane. But now if we go ahead and talk to him, let's see what his rewards are. And as you guys can see, still to go ahead and get the max amount of rewards, it is still going to be 140 points. So let's go ahead and see if this event has actually been fixed. Nothing else seems to have changed. Please let me know if it has, but as you guys can see, it is still a 1% chance to get the lion shard, and still have a bunch of crates as common rewards, which I don't understand why, but okay, sure, whatever. But anyways, let's go ahead and try out with my headless horseman once again. As I mentioned previously, this guy gave me about 100 points, so let's go ahead and see how many points this guy gives me now. So how many points is this worth? And as you guys can see, this is worth about 118 points, which is significantly better than before, I won't lie. Let's try something like this, which is just a regular old ascended spaghetti sloth. So let's go ahead and see how much this gives me. And as you guys can see, this gives me about 107 points. If I'm not wrong, the main thing that you guys need to worry about is the kg of your pet and the age of your pet. So let me go ahead and try out a highly aged pet. Okay, this is like the highest aged pet I have currently, which is going to be my corrupted kitsune. Let's see how much this thing is worth. And as you guys can see, this thing is worth about 129 points, which is still not enough to actually go ahead and get the max amount of rewards, which is kind of outrageous. Okay, I have myself a starfish, which is a common pet. So let's go ahead and test out with a common pet and not something rare. Let's see how much this gives me. This thing is age 51, by the way, so do keep that in mind. But this is going to give me 91 points. Previously, this thing gave me about 20 points. I'm not even kidding. You guys can go watch my previous video. And yeah, clearly they have actually buffed this event, because now even a common thorn can give you about 100 points. So you can actually go ahead, grind out a bunch of common pets and just submit those if you guys don't want to go ahead and give this guy some rare pets. But yeah, clearly this is now working, so this has actually been buffed. It is up to you guys to go ahead and decide if the buff is good enough, if it's not good enough, because at the end of the day, people just gotta test it. People gotta see if it's worth doing. In my opinion though, still it is pretty difficult to get a pet to age 51, especially a common pet like this. So yeah, it is just not as many rewards as I'd expect for the amount of work I'm actually putting into this. Like, I'm going to be putting in hours and hours of AFKing probably to get my starfish to age 51, and the max amount of rewards I'm gonna get is probably a seed pack or a egg, which is just really, like, is that really worth it? Not really. By the way, these pet shards, if you guys are wondering, are really not that great. They're not as good as something like the actual pet. For example, the lion pet shard isn't as good as the actual lion. Sure, it gives you a little bit of a passive boost, but is that passive boost really worth grinding out so many pets? If you're unemployed, sure, maybe, but if you have a life, it's gonna be really difficult to justify something like this. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on. So this is what the buff for this event was. Now, of course, let's go ahead and move on to the global safari points right here, because apparently this got a buff too. So if we go in here and look at the rewards, previously these rewards went up to 300 billion, but now if we go ahead and check this out, they only go up to about 240 billion. For reference, guys, it took us about a week to get 90 billion points. 90 with a 90. So if we go ahead and do the math and do the obvious, it's going to take us about another week to get to 180 billion points, because currently, if you guys go ahead and see right here, we are only at 140. So I am like 90% sure we are only going to get to about 180, maybe 200 billion points. So realistically speaking, guys, this event is still impossible to do. The max we can get to is probably something like the Cape Buffalo. And after the Cape Buffalo, we can't really progress after that, unless they're planning on keeping the safari event for another week. I honestly don't see how this is going to be realistically possible to get to 240 billion points. Once again, I want to repeat this. It took us a week to get 90 billion points. It's going to take us another week to get to 180 billion points realistically. So once again, we need one more week to actually complete this event, which I really hope it isn't going to be that way. I really don't want this event to last for another week, guys. I think 3 weeks of this event is really going to bore people out. But unless they decide to keep it and do something extra special with this event, I don't know, bro. We'll have to see what actually happens. But right now, at least we'll be able to unlock the Zebra Ziggly very soon. I'm going to be real with you guys. These pets here are really mid. They're not really that great. So even if we unlock them, I don't see many people actually caring. But yeah, maybe we might actually see some sort of change, and maybe we might actually see a lot of people grinding out the safari harvest points. But right now, guys, at the pace we're going, I feel like we're going to get to 180 by this Saturday, which is of course when this event is supposed to leave. If it is gonna leave this week, that is, of course. Additionally, we were also supposed to get a gear and pets icon on the top of our screen, but clearly, if we go back into the game, as you guys can see, I do not have this. Apparently, some people have this feature, while others don't have this feature, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm not sure why there is this sort of like disconnect between two types of players. I really hope they go ahead and actually give this feature to everyone. I've gone through settings, and as you guys can see, there isn't really any feature here that I can turn on to give me those icons. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you guys have those buttons at the top of your screen. With that being said, that's everything I have for you guys. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Like, subscribe, peace out.